This program was previously recorded. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Porter County Perspectives. I'm your host, Nathan Bunning, and this week my guest is Chesterton's Fire Chief, Eric Camel. Thank you for joining me today, Chief Camel.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having it.
First, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Eric Camel, and I'm a 2001 graduate from Chesterton High School. I was also a member of the WDSO radio team while I was there. I attended Valparaiso University, where I got my bachelor's in science in 2005. And then after graduating from college, I joined the Beverly Shores Volunteer Fire Department, where I got my mandatory training and my EMT, and then was hired by Chesterton Fire in 2009. I've been a lifelong resident of Jackson Township in Chesterton, and I am married with 2 daughters. So that's a little bit about myself.
Can you tell us about what role the fire chief plays in our community?
Most certainly. General roles and responsibilities have to do with people skills and emergency response roles. The chief serves as the leader or manager of the department. He's also the role model and the visionary, and is included in the planning for the department's future. The chief's role is also to be the listening ear for the rank and file, so they have somebody they can come talk to when they have incidences or have situations that need to be resolved.
When did you become fire chief, and what do you feel most qualified you for this position?
Well, in December of last year, I was appointed the interim fire chief, and I got appointed that by the town council. I have a vast history of employment and management in the private sector and also nonprofit. And I feel it's always been my responsibility as the manager to treat people fairly. I have a vision and developmental skills that will help move this department forward in the years to come. And right now, just being in here for a couple months, we're just getting some SOGs in order, which are just policies and procedures.
What made you want to become a fireman, and what ultimately led you to pursue the role of fire chief?
Well, in 2005, I joined the Beverly Shores Volunteer Fire Department right after college, and I went and got my training that I needed to get done. And then I found a great sense of brotherhood there at Beverly Shores Fire that led me to many more connections in the fire service, and ultimately helping out others in need is a nice gratification process. So that ultimately, that's what led me into the fire service. And then just by going through being a volunteer fireman, I found out that it's truly that you are being a part of something bigger than yourself. And so that is it's a good feeling that you have, once you become a fireman and start going that way. After I became on Chesterton, I continued to do my education, getting more certifications, and getting myself prepared to move up the ranks. And then in December, I was appointed the interim fire chief.
Coming in as the new fire chief, what were some of your main priorities?
Well, I wanted to maintain the traditions of the fire department, and I also wanted this department to be a part of the town as the whole organization. We want to continue to be involved with the community, and I want to make sure that I have an open ear for the members to talk to. So we're doing that, and we're promoting an excellent place for working, and we're striving forward to become the best department we can.
Can you tell us some of the differences between your first day as a fireman and your first day as fire chief?
Sure. So the first day as a fireman here at Chesterton was myself and 4 other firefighters were all hired together. And, the first day is your orientation. You need to learn about the rules and regulations of the department, get your gear, and kind of just basically find out, how it's done here at Chesterton Fire. And then my first day as chief brought about more learning experiences, but more on the administrative side, like how to do payroll, how to create claims, and then picking up on the previously started projects that we had, making requests to the town council. It's like I said, it's a lot more administrative task compared to the running calls being a firefighter.
Will you share with us some of your proudest moments in your career working as firefighting?
Sure. So obviously, being on the career fire department, I ran a lot of calls. I've used CPR to save lives. I've extricated people from car accidents, pulled people out of burning houses. And those are good moments, but I don't know that I would call them my proudest moments. I'd say that more of my proud moments are surrounded by victories and accomplishments, setting goals, obtaining goals, going to classes, getting certifications, and also celebrating those victories in the brotherhood of the fire department with your fellow firefighters. I think the brotherhood in the fire service and the men and women that we work with will be the memories that I'll always live on.
Have you learned anything new or surprising about yourself or the fire department since becoming fire chief?
Yeah, I've learned a lot of different things, but I've also learned that we've got a very strong department, one that has great leaders and that's ready to stride forward and create an even better department for the town. We as a town have great department heads that all work together to make the entire town and the entire town organization better. It's the whole picture that we're making better to improve for everybody in town.
The Chesterton Fire Department was just up for a FEMA grant to help purchase a new dispatch system. Can you tell us a little more about that and what it will mean for our community?
Sure. The Chesterton Fire Department asked for the council's approval to apply for the grant. We haven't got approval from FEMA for the grant yet, and this is going to be on a regional grant level. So it'll involve many departments here in Porter County, and it's for a station alert system. So I'll kind of explain the way it works. When you call 911, the dispatcher takes the information and enters in the system and then needs to go over the radio and dispatch the appropriate departments, and then we'll respond. With this new station alerting system, if we were to get the FEMA grant, when someone would call 911, the dispatcher would still enter the information and the call would be sent out both over the radio and also hardwired IP to the station. So if you have an instance where we had multiple 911 calls coming into county, there wouldn't be any delay in the department receiving the call, because if the radio was tied up on another dispatch of another call, it would come over the IP. It also has a duplication system so that if there is any instances where the IP or the radio went down, the other backup would work. So that's good in that regards. We do have a great dispatching system and great dispatchers that are very well trained, and they do a great job for our county. But this is just another tool in the toolbox to help everybody out and get responses out the door quicker.
Could you tell us about some of the other services provided by the fire department that listeners may not know about?
Sure. Pre-COVID, we were out teaching CPR classes, doing fire safety programs for the schools, doing car seat installations. But with the pandemic shutdown, currently we're only doing car seat installations, and you can call the station, which is 219-926-7162, to set up an appointment for a car seat installation. And then hoping that everything opens back up, we'll go back to doing our fire safety programs at the schools and also here in the station tours and CPR classes. But if you do need a car seat installation, you can call the station at any time and set those up.
What is the process of becoming a firefighter, and is it different for volunteer firefighters?
Well, most career firefighters start off as volunteer firefighters, as I did. And so when you become a firefighter, you have to first get the mandatory training. And the mandatory training takes about 9 months. If you work the schedule that we did, which was a Tuesday night, Thursday night, and every Saturday schedule. So it would take about 9 months to get your mandatory training. And then once you complete that, or while you are completing that, you'll also need to get your EMT, which is your emergency medical tech, meaning that you can perform medical calls. And that class takes about 6 months as well. So there's about 15 months of training that you need to complete before you'll actually start responding to calls. And volunteer firefighters and career firefighters are all trained in that same level.
For those interested in becoming firefighters, what qualities do you feel are important for applicants to possess?
I think the first thing is teamwork. In the fire service, you have to be able to work as a team. You need to be able to listen to your officers. You also need to be able to think independently and communicate your needs on the fire ground or what you see. When most people look at a house that's on fire, they don't think about running inside and trying to put the fire out. Most people move away from the fire and they don't want to get injured, and we can appreciate that. But when a house is on fire, you need to be able to think and need to be able to communicate. You need to be able to work as a team. So those are some big qualities that you need to have if you're going to join the fire service.
Can you tell us more about training to become a firefighter? What are some things that you train for that listeners may not expect?
Being a firefighter is more than just running into a burning building. It's also hazmat. We go to hazardous material calls, and we need to make sure that we can stop the hazmat spill when it does occur. We do extrications, which, if you're in a vehicle accident and you were pinned in the car, we need to make sure that we can get you out of there. We train on forcible entry, which is, doors that are locked, commercial doors, residential doors, etc. Search and rescue, fire dynamics, ventilation, property conservation, so that if there is a fire and it's contained to one portion of the house, the rest of the house doesn't become damaged by it. We need to make sure that we can do emergency vehicle operations so we can drive the fire truck appropriately, do evidence preservation, community risk reduction, which is a big thing right now. And by community risk reduction, we mean just making sure that people have the appropriate equipment in their house to notify them if there was, a fire or CO call. And then we also train on like Mayday situations, so that if you were inside of a house fire and something went wrong, that you could get yourself out, so that at the end of the day, we can make sure that all our firefighters go home to their families.
Tell us about Chesterton Fire Department staff. How many members are on CFD's team?
So we have 17 career guys here at the fire station. Of those, 15 of them are on shift. We have 3 different shifts, A shift, B shift, and C shift. And there's 5 guys on each shift. So there's the 15 guys, and then we have 2 administrators, myself, and Deputy Chief Williams.
When the alarm goes off, about how many seconds are between when you get the initial call and when you're on the truck pulling out of the station?
Well, if we're talking about a fire alarm going off and we're getting our guys in gear, they're going to be in gear and out the door within 2 minutes. But if it is a medical call, for a difficulty breathing or something like that, they'll be in the truck and out the door much quicker. But you're looking, a couple minutes at most.
How can community members better help the supported fire department? Do you believe that the street dance fundraiser will return this summer?
Yes. So we'll start with the first question, how to help out. So if you have a fire hydrant near your house and there's a lot of snow around it, you help out by clearing the snow away from the fire hydrant so that if we were need to get access to it, we could very easily. Another thing that community members can do is log in and create a Smart 911 account. It's at www.smart911.com. And what it is, it's an online system where you would provide information, and then if you called 911, that information would be available to dispatchers through the secure website. So then we're going to relay that information to dispatchers, and then they get it to us. Basically, it would provide any information we need to know about you, medical-wise or access-wise to the house. You can provide that through that secure Smart 911 system. And in regards to the street dance, let's keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully COVID dissipates enough with the vaccinations, and we'll be able to see you guys back in the streets in August.
What types of things do these fundraisers end up paying for?
The fundraisers a lot of it goes to equipment. It's a major expense that we have. We have extrication equipment, EMS equipment, just lots of equipment, and we need to upkeep that and upgrade over time our equipment. And so, the fundraisers help out greatly with that. A set of extrication gear costs over $20,000. So we want to make sure that we've got good equipment to help out the citizens. Nothing's cheap in the fire service.
What is some advice that you can share to residents about how to keep their homes and businesses safer?
I think the biggest thing that we can share is the need to have a working smoke detector. We'll recommend that you have one on each level, but if you at a minimum have one in your house, that'll greatly help you out. Working smoke detectors save lives, which is why we also tell you to change the battery out on your smoke detector every time you change your clock. Another item that you could pick up would be a carbon monoxide detector. Carbon monoxide is odorless and tasteless, and it's deadly. So without a carbon monoxide detector in your house, you wouldn't realize that you were getting that incomplete combustion, creating the carbon monoxide, which could end up in a fatal situation. So a CO detector is something else that I'd recommend that you invest in. And the last thing I'd say is have a fire extinguisher. If you have a fire extinguisher that you can use, that can do a lot to stop the spread of a fire if one ever does occur. All those items are relatively inexpensive. So I think that they're very needed in every home and highly recommended. I think that just those three little items right there would help all the residents and businesses make it a safer place.
Is there anything else that you would like to tell listeners before we wrap things up?
No, I really enjoy the opportunity to talk to you guys and let you know that if you ever want asking more questions or find out more about the fire service, shoot an email, give me a call, and once we get through this pandemic, we'll have our bay doors open, our station open, and the residents and their children are always free to stop by once we can get through this. I hope that everybody over there is being safe and you guys are getting through school well. I know it's definitely different for you guys as well. But just know that everybody is working together. You've got one of the greatest fire departments here in Chesterton, and we're going to continue to stride forward.
All right, that's going to be it for this week's edition of Porter County Perspective. This has been WDSO News Director Nathan Bunning, and my guest this week was Chesterton's new Fire Chief, Eric Camel. Thank you again for being with us today.
Thanks again for having us.
This program was previously recorded.